Okay, good morning. Welcome back. How was your Thanksgiving? Yeah, it was nice, wasn't it? You guys well rested and ready to hit the remainder of the semester?
No.
You only got a week. You can make up a lot of ground in a week, can't you?
No.
You can make up sins of 13 weeks. You really can.
Yeah,
you can. Yeah, you can.
You can fake it.
Well, like in this class, not really so much, but in a lot of classes they do end load it. What we have left is we have a week of class, and so 3 classes, and here's how these classes will run. Today we will continue to talk about business intelligence systems, and you guys remember we were doing like an Excel exercise? We kind of got cut off there before the break. You guys follow any of that? So we'll leave off on that, and we'll do some more. We'll do something called OLAP. Okay, OLAP stands for Online Analytical Processing. We'll use a pivot table to kind of emulate that. And we'll go over some material from Chapter 9 as well. Now, Friday, the last day of class, what is that, December 5th, I believe?
Yes.
I will be in Pittsburgh visiting, what's the name of the university out there? Yeah, Robert Morris. I hate Robert Morris. But anyways, I'll be visiting Robert Morris, okay? Checking out their school of business to see what attributes we want to have in our school of business. So they were very nice, even though I don't like them. They were very nice and accommodated us. So I won't be here. So I will record a review for the final exam. The final exam is not cumulative. When is the final exam? Do you guys know when the final exam is?
Tuesday.
Wednesday. December 10th at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Very good. In this room, yes, in this room, okay? It'll be on chapters 7, 8, 9, so it's not cumulative. It'll be very much like the other exams where we'll have multiple choice and short answer. Now, I don't know how I get your input on the questions to lock in. How am I going to do that if I'm not physically going to be here? What's that? Google Docs. I could do that. I'll share it with all you guys on Google Docs.
You didn't
Create a poll.
What's that?
Yeah, create a poll.
So we can vote on which one we want.
Okay, we can do that.
Which questions we want.
What do you think is a better tool? That's good. We're talking about
Do a poll. Yeah.
more direct, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to ascertain. So, all right. So that's what we'll do. We'll vote. Some kind of poll. Does anyone have a poll that they use that they like? Survey
Isn't there
Monkey.
like Doodle?
There's Doodle, yeah. Doodle poll. That's used a lot for scheduling appointments, like to see when people are available. It's free.
Conservative.
Survey Monkey. That's free for up to 15 questions, I think, like that. So we can use Survey Monkey. Or we could use Google Forms, right? We could use Google Forms. I can create a question
Oh yeah.
on Google Forms, and that's free as well. So I'll do some kind of poll. Now the other thing that I have, and I don't know if you saw it available, is I do have one more assignment, which is doing what we're doing today. So I think what I'll do is I'm worried that it's going to be due Friday, is we'll probably spend some time on Wednesday to at least kick it off together. You know what I mean? Like at least do part of it together. All right. So you'll see what that is as well. It's doing basically some of the Excel things that I've taught you before break and today. So any questions on what is left in MIS 102? All right. So we're talking about business intelligence systems, and really what this comes down to is using data to make better decisions, all right? To make better decisions for organizations. And where does the data come from? Before we go on the slides, give me one place data comes from that organizations use to be more informed, to be more intelligent about what's going on in their day-to-day business. Give me one source of data. Where do businesses generate data? Come on, one source. From a database, that's where we keep it, right? But where is it coming from? We talked about data warehouses where it ends up residing, and data marts when it's at a functional level. But give me an example of when St. Francis generates data. If you go buy a cup of coffee from Karen at the cart, does that generate data?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called operational or transactional data. It definitely generates data, right? It says, you swiped and it says, hey, this is Katie Ruse, and she bought a cup of coffee, and now her declining balance is down to $8 or whatever it is, right? And then Karen marks it up as a sale. So one source of data that we analyze is what's called operational data, right? We're always generating operational data. Whenever we sell something, whenever you register for a class, that's operational data. Whenever you click on a website, that's operational data. Anything data that gets generated just from us operating, right? Just from us operating, that is operational data. We also can add to that social data. We talked about social media information systems, the linkages between people. You know, you have friends that like this album, so probably you're going to like this album. We also talked about purchase data. What do we mean when we say purchase data? What company did I talk about with purchase data as a source of data? The data we can buy. What was the company I talked about? Go ahead. Axiom, A-X-C-I-O-M. They're a big player in there. So there's many players, but they're one of the big players. It's kind of an oligopoly. And you can buy all kind of data, right? They have all kind of data on people, and you can add that to your data. And then we also have employee knowledge. So what we try to do is we extract all that data, we put it in one place, and then we can do things to it to create knowledge for our workers, okay? And we talked about a couple things. I'm just going to kind of go over the high points. We first talked about, you know, reporting types of applications. And we said reporting applications come down to basically using 5 functions, right? 5 general functions. The first one is sorting. You know, putting data in some kind of order helps us understand it. Filtering, which is what? What is filtering? Filtering data is doing what?
Grouping it.
Well, grouping it is another function, but filtering is turning off some, right? If there's too much detail, hey, let's only see the males, or let's only see the females, or only the juniors, right? Only seeing a subset. Then we can group it. We can group it by what we're going to call dimensions today. We can calculate, you know, figure out averages, figure out percentages, figure out standard deviations, and we can format it. We saw like creating a table that had banded rows. I think we did that before we left. So the first reporting function, there's many ways that do this. Organizations do this, but we started with one called RFM analysis, and it's kind of a way of looking at your customers so that we can make a better decision on how we serve them, or you know, how we approach them. What did RFM analysis stand for? And that's where we kind of left off. What did RFM analysis stand for? Ashley? Yeah. We rank every customer according to 3 things. How recently they purchased from us. So the ones that purchased from us the most recent, like maybe this morning, they get a 1, right? Someone hasn't purchased us for several years, they get a 5, okay? Or 10, or a 1 through 3. We make up our own system here. Frequency means how often do they purchase from us? You know, do they come every morning? Do they come every day? Are they once every 2 months? How often? What's the frequency of their interaction with us? And then M is how much money they spend. You know, the amount of money they spend with us. So we said if we have a 511 kind of customer, and these will be on the multiple choice, by the way. What does that mean? Well, we have a 511. We've done some analysis, and we say customer ABC is a 511. What does that mean? What does that mean? Plummet?
Like a friend yesterday, for example, they haven't bought many things. Like for
Opposite. You're a little bit opposite. 5 means they haven't bought for a long, long, long time, but what? When they did buy, what did they do?
They were buying often and they were spending a lot.
Yeah, so how do we approach that customer? They're a 511. They used to be a great customer, spent a lot of money with us, spent a lot of money a lot, you know, frequently. How do we approach that customer?
You offer them something new.
Yeah, we want to win them back, right? We miss you, right? Come back to us. Have you ever seen those kind of things? You got this, that. We miss you. Like, you know, maybe we'll give you a better discount, right? You know, the MBA program is something the School of Business runs. You know, we've seen this with some of our big customers, and we've, you know, like organizations that send a lot of students to our MBA, and we haven't got many from you lately, and we go out to them and say, what's going on? We've discounted, right? We say, all right, we'll give you a 15%. Don't tell anyone, but we'll give you a better discount, right? So that is what we do. What if we had someone who was I'm trying to think of a better one. Let's think of a 113. What about a 113? What kind of customer is that? kind of a customer is a 113? And how might we approach them? They're a 113 or 114 or something like that. What kind of customer is that? Go ahead, Fran.
Like a one-time customer and it's kind of not worth it,
Well,
maybe?
1-1 means, you know what, they bought from us recently, they buy from us often,
No, I'm looking at it the wrong way.
but how much money do they spend? About average, right? So how might we approach them? We don't want them to go away, right, by any means, but how might we approach them? What might we do? What might we look at first with them? They seem to like us, right? They're buying from us often, recently, they seem to be happy with us. What might we want to try to do with them? Yes, Pablo?
Try to push higher end that item.
That's what we call upsell them, right? Or cross-sell them or whatever, right? We want them to spend more. They must like what we're doing here, right? So let's try to upsell them. Let's push higher end products. Let's see if they're ready, you know, they're in the life cycle of their business to buy more, whatever it might be. Okay, and if we have a 454, what are we saying about that customer? What are we saying about a 454?
Pay attention to.
Yeah, you know what? Not really. They don't spend a lot of money. They have bought from us recently. I wouldn't spend any resources on that customer, right? I wouldn't spend any resources on that customer. And a lot of companies do this. Okay, a lot of times they put it under something called customer profitability. Okay, they look at all their customers and say, you know, what is a good customer for us, right? Not just, hey, we want as many customers to get, because there's bad customers too. There's customers that take a lot of your time and don't add any value, right? We're looking at the value they add for our company. So we took a look at this. We said we can get all this information, okay? We said we can get all this information by looking at operational data. And if you guys could bring this up, I'd appreciate it. This is some sample retail data where it says, hey, here's the customer, here's the transaction, here's what they paid. It was an in-store, this is the date, the product code, the item number, the item amount. And I wanted to segment these by RFM, okay? I want to segment these by RFM. And I think the ones I've done are frequency and monetary. So how did I get there? Do you guys remember how I got there? How did I get there, frequency and monetary? How did I get there? So for frequency, what we did first was we said, let's build a copy of this. And then we ended up with this, right? We ended up with this table. By customer, how often they purchase from us, and then I've used 1s, 2s, 3s to kind of classify them. How did I do that? How did I do that? Okay, I used the pivot table. And what kind of functions did that use? Remember those 5 reporting functions? What are the functions that we use to get to this table? First of all, what do we group by to get to this table? We group by customer number, and then we counted the number of transactions. That's calculating, right? We could even sort it by customer number, yes? And we could format this thing if we like. You know, we could use the pivot table tools. If I click on this and go up to click on the pivot table and I go to design, you know, I can use it, I don't know, make some kind of better design, right? Okay, that's called format. That was the first thing we did. So this is frequency. We also did monetary, if you guys recall, and we took our customers and we grouped them by money. What did we use to do that? We used the same thing. We used pivot table, but instead of looking at the number of transactions, we summed the amount of their transactions, right? So I look at this and I say, you know, 1,863 did $1,900 worth of transactions. They're a 1. Anyone, I can't remember doing this, but anyone below $100 was a 3. Anyone between, it looks like $100 and $500 was a 2. So, you know, as a company, you can make up this ranking system yourself. You can do 1 through 10, 1 through 3, 1 through 5. Hell, you can give it letters. It doesn't matter. Going through the process, though, is important. So we did the F and the M, if you will. We didn't do the R. I think we left off on the R. Is that right? We left off on the R. So how do I do the R? The recency. how would I do the R? So if I go back to my R, you guys find this? Where we left off, yes? A lot of blank looks, yes, okay. So how would I do the R? Help me with this. How would I do the R? Someone asked you to do this, what would you do? Your boss, you just came to you and said, have this to me by the end of the day.
Like eight.
Pivot table would just, okay,
Like you need like a sheet kind of, don't you?
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Don't give you like a new sheet, like highlight it
All right, well, let's do that first, okay? I like that. Let's do that as first step. Let's take these transactions. Let's right-click. Let's say move or copy. Create a copy. Click OK. And I have transactions 2. I'm going to rename that. I'm going to call that recency.
I'm sorry, how'd you do that?
I went to my transactions, right? So the original transactions worksheet, right click on it, go to move or copy,
Oh, I see.
and then you got to check create a copy or it doesn't create a copy. So check the button that says create a copy, and it'll create a copy and it'll call it transactions 2, sub 2, and then right click on it, rename, and call it whatever you like. I called mine recency because that's what we're doing here. So think about what I'm looking for, okay? So that's good. I have now, you know, and a lot of times it makes sense to do that because even if I screw this up, I still have the original data in its original format, no worries, right? That's the beautiful thing about digital data. I can replicate it, no cost to do that. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for the most recent transaction for customers, right? So how would I do that? Someone, come on.
Sort by date.
All right. I want to sort by date. And there's one little issue with that, but let's do it. Let's do data. So I'm going to highlight all the data in my recency. I'm going to do data. I'm going to do sort. And I'm going to sort by timestamp. And let's do newest to oldest, because we want the ones most recent first, right? So newest to oldest. So highlight it all. My data has headers. Sort by timestamp. Newest to oldest. Click OK. Okay. So now it's definitely in time order, but think about the result we want at the end. We want a customer, by customer, how recently they did this. Now the problem with this is, yeah, I have all the July 10th, I have all the May 5th, I have all the September 2002s. You know, these dates are just made up. But what don't I have that I really want? I want it by customer, right? So give me a different way to sort that I get it by customer, and then within customer, I get it by date. Go ahead, Plowman.
Customer ID.
Okay, so I'm gonna highlight all that data again. I'm gonna say sort, and I'm gonna first sort by customer ID, smallest to largest, and then within customer, this is called a multi-level sort. I'm going to say add level. So within customer, I want to sort by that timestamp, and we'll do oldest to newest. And I'm going to
Why
click.
wouldn't you do newest to oldest?
You're right, I would do newest to oldest because I want the most recent ones first. Right, newest to oldest, thank you. I click OK. And now we can definitely see, let's go to a customer that has multiple dates. So 215, customer 215825. Well, that's not a customer. No, this is a customer, okay. 100128865. It looks like has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 transactions. And the most recent one is July 10th. The oldest one is August 1st, 2001. which one do I care about? Of all those 8 transactions for that customer, which ones do I care about? Which row do I care about? Which row do I not care about? Anyone?
Wouldn't you care just the first 4 since they're all from?
Okay, in this case they're all, yeah, but you're right. I really only care about the most recent one, right?
Yeah.
And these are all the most recent one because they're the same damn date, right? But I don't care about the last 7, if you will, right? I only want the most recent one for every customer. Does that make sense? I only want the most recent one for every customer. So how do you think I should do that? Go ahead, Katie.
Filter?
Okay, I could filter. That's a little more difficult because filter says, what are you going to filter by? I'm going to filter by, I got to turn something off. And there's no way I can say turn off the ones that aren't the newest. I don't have that functionality. Here's what I can do. And maybe you guys don't know about this. But if I highlight all of these transactions, so I'm going to highlight them all. And this comes in handy a lot of places. If I go to Data, okay, my Data tab, I'm going to go to Remove Duplicates. Okay. And you can specify on how do you want me to match up duplicates. Okay, I'm going to just say I want to remove duplicate customer numbers, and by default it'll keep the first one. And the first one that occurs is what? The most recent one, yes? So I'm going to unselect all, and then I'm going to check customer ID. So what it's going to do is it's going to remove, there's only going to be one customer record for every customer, only one, because it's going to remove all the others, and it's going to keep the first one, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So I click OK. Okay, 146 duplicates were found and removed, and you see they're actually removed. Like it didn't just hide them or filter them out. They're gonzo, right? That's why I wouldn't want to do that. As Katie said, let's make a copy before we do this. She's right, because I just got rid of that data, right? It's gone. And if I did that to original data, boy, now I'm in a panic because I just got rid of all this data. So now I can see for customer 100128865 is the one we're looking at. There's only one record for him or her, and it's July 10th, 2013, right? For every customer, we have their most recent transaction. That's what we wanted, yes? Now what do I want to do? Pablo, now what do I want to do? So I have every customer and their most recent transaction. Now what do I want to do? Now I want to sort it by
the date.
Now I want to sort it by the date. So if I take this data that results and go up here to sort, now I want to sort it by this timestamp. Okay, and here's what we see. So I'm going to insert, I'm going to right click on C, insert a column. Let's say anyone in 2013 gets a 1. Anyone in 2002 gets a 2. I know this is just fabricated data. It wouldn't actually be apparently an 11-year gap between transactions. And anyone in 2001 gets a 3. I'm sorry. God bless you, Matt. Questions? Okay, now what we've done is we have segmented this customer base, right? Using operational transactional data, and it wouldn't be just 800 records, it'd be tens of thousands of records your boss would give you, and she would tell you to do this. I have them all ranked by recency, frequency, and monetary, but what's wrong here is I have it all. I have one spreadsheet with R's, one spreadsheet with F's, one spreadsheet with M's. And this isn't something that really is, this might be a little too advanced for this class, but how can I bring it together? Anyone know how I can bring that together? No? We'll take my Excel class next semester. We'll learn that. I'll show you right now, though, okay? I'll show you right now, kind of. Let's go to frequency. And I'm going to type frequency here. And let's insert next to it. So I have the frequency values in the spreadsheet for those customers, but I don't have the recency. Where does recency live? Where does the recency number for each of these customers live? Okay, so if I had to do this manually, what would you do, Ian? You go ahead, tell me.
Could you just like type it in? But
Yeah, I could go look. Well, 100868533. I could go over into that table and say, oh, I got a 2, and type the 2 in, right? And then I could say 656909. I could go over there and say it got a 3, type that in, right? I don't have that kind of time, right? My boss, you know, they want results today. Ashley?
Can you do a VLOOKUP?
Yeah, I'm going to do something which is basically doing exactly what we did, but does it systematically, called a VLOOKUP. It's called a vertical lookup, okay? So I'll just do this, hopefully it works. I'm going to type in equal VLOOKUP. And when I went over to that table, doing it manually, and what value did I use to look up? I used the customer number, right? So I'm going to say A4. I'm going to look up A4, comma. And where do I want to look up? Well, I'm going to go over here. It says, where's the table I want to look up? So I'm going to go over here to recency. And I'm going to highlight this part of it. Okay, the customer ID and the recency. And you notice it says, all right, I'm looking up A4. I have to look at the worksheet recency in the columns or in the range B2 to C31. What do I want it to return? I want it to return comma 2, the second column. Okay, that's the next thing. I know this is fast. And then the last thing is, do I want it to be an exact match? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to put in here false.
For table array, what would you put in?
Okay, when you do that, click, you hit the comma there, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay. Then click on the recency tab. And then I want you to highlight
Customer ID.
customer ID, yes, exactly, from B2 down to C31. And then you want to return, that's a table, I'm telling it to look in this table. And the third field said, I want you to return the second column, so that's 2. And then comma false. False tells it, give me an exact match. I hit enter. Huh? Nice, huh? Now, which part of this, and I know this is, I'm going through a lot of stuff, which part of this formula needs to be static so it doesn't change? It needs to be absolute so it doesn't change when I copy it down. I want the A4 to change, right? Because the next one I want to look up A5. What part don't I want to change?
The rest of it.
Yeah, I don't want this part. I always want to look in this table. So if you guys remember from stats, I'm making that absolute by F4ing it, right? Remember the $sign? So if I highlight that part of the function, and F4 it, it makes it absolute. And now if I copy that down, whoops, drag it down. And I would have to do the same thing with the money, right? I have to do the same thing with the money, which I could do. But we start to see a picture. You know, this person's a 3-3 means, you know, kind of a crappy customer. Hasn't bought from us recently, never bought a lot. You know, we see a 1-1 here. This is a good customer, right? They bought from us recently. They bought from us frequently. We'd have to put in the money part to see if they spend a lot of money, right? And now think about it. Think about it. I've taken just data, right? Just operational data that costs me nothing, right? Just, we get it for free. Our customers come, they spend, we capture that data, and from that, we do some simple analysis. I know maybe you don't feel it was simple, but we did some analysis, and now we have information that as a manager we can make decisions about. We can say, hey, that's a great customer. Let's go out and make sure they're happy. Tell our sales rep, make sure that customer continues to be happy. They're a fantastic customer. You know, invite them to the golf outing, give them free Penguin tickets, whatever the hell it is that we do to make customers happy, right? Make sure they stay with us. You know, and if you're in sales, you know, you get all this data and you look at things. You get quotas and you get trips to Hawaii if you meet your quotas. You know, I mean, it's using this kind of data. It's unbelievable the type of data that like pharmaceutical sales, for example, have. They know they buy data on like how much of a type of medicine a doctor prescribes, right? Because they know if he has a lot of heart patients, you know, that's a big whale, and we sell heart medicine. We want to land that whale. We hope he prescribes our stuff instead of our competitors' stuff, right? And we can see this. You know, they buy this data from the pharmacies. They buy this data, like who wrote what scripts. So data, information, you know, it's valuable. You know, and organizations that make good use of it make better decisions, make smarter decisions, and they're ones that prevail in the end. Okay? Any questions on this? I know, you know, we did a lot with a little bit of time. Okay. Then let's look at something else. Okay, let's look at something else in terms of reporting applications. And this is something that's kind of been downplayed a little bit, but it's still heavily used in the business world. Big data has kind of been like the new buzzword. I think I told you guys that. Big data is like taking a whole bunch of data and boiling it down and finding these patterns and these magnificent nuggets of gold in your information that make your decisions, you know, make all that worthwhile. But there's something called an OLAP report. Okay, you guys ever hear an OLAP report? Good term to know. OLAP stands for Online Analytical Processing. Online Analytical Processing. Okay, that's a term that's going to be on the multiple choice for sure. Online Analytical Processing. And under an OLAP, and oftentimes they're called OLAP cubes, okay, because they look like cubes because they have like 3 dimensions. There are different terms, okay? There's something called a dimension. A dimension is a category that we group the data by. Okay, a dimension is a category that we group the data by. What is the dimension we have going on here? Give me a dimension we have going on here. One dimension. This data is grouped by. Very good. Product family, store type are both dimensions. Here are the 3 product families. Here are the various store types. Those are dimensions. That's how we're viewing this data. Think about 2D, 3D. We can have mobile dimensions. Those are the dimensions. We can also have something called a measure. And the measure is the thing we're really interested in studying, right? We want to look at this measure via these various dimensions. What is the measure here? What is the measure here? What is the measure here? I don't know if it says. It's the money, sales, okay? In this case, it's sales. It is the thing we're interested in studying, okay? So in this case, it is sales. What we can also do with an overlap cube is we can interact with it. That's where the name online analytical processing comes from. Think about typical reports on a piece of paper. You get the report. Is there a way for you to change it and say, let's sort by this or sort by that? Is there? No, okay? But if you get an OLAP cube, you get the information that says you can interact with it. You can change things. You can look at it via a different dimension. And one of the things we can do is something called a drill down. What's drill down mean? So we're looking at this thing by various dimensions, and then we can drill down into the data. What's that mean, Ashley? Yeah, getting more specific. We can. They talk about like slicing and dicing the data, but drilling down says, hey, I want to understand who this is. Okay, I want to go into this product and say, what are these 5 transactions, or what are these 500 sales? I want to drill down into that specific segment. Okay. What does this look like? This OLAP cube look like? And you guys should know this. What do you think we could use in Excel to emulate something called an OLAP cube? We can use a pivot table. So let's do that, okay? Let's go to Blackboard. And I think I have some sample data out here we can use. Oh, I can't go to Blackboard, can I? Can you guys go to Blackboard? Yeah, there's something wrong with this. This computer has a virus. I can't get to Blackboard. I think I have it somewhere else. Let me see. Sorry. I'll tell you what, we'll just use the data we have, okay? Because there's some other data I wanted to show that's better formatted, but let's, because I'm having issues, let's just use the data we have here, okay? Let's just use, go to the original transactions tab from the data we have up. We'll just use that. Yeah, just use transactions. You guys look worse than the break, before the break. Look like more tired. Why? Because the sleep cycle adjusted?
Yeah.
Like what time are you waking up typically? Like what time do you wake up on Friday? Noon? Yeah. Really? Is that standard? What would you wake up, Matt?
8:30.
8:30. I'm like, I'm an old man now, so I wake up, you know, my dad always did that, and now that I do that, you know, I wake up at like 7:30, whether I set my alarm or not, or 6 o'clock. It happens when you become an old man, you know. I remember my dad's a school teacher. I remember when I was in college, he got so mad at me one day. It was on break, it was like Christmas break. And he was back at school. He came back from school, like teaching a day of school, and it was like 3 o'clock. And I was still sleeping. I was so angry. Well, what kind of son am I raising here? That is pretty ridiculous, sleeping till 3 p.m., isn't it? But I was 21, so I was going out late. And, you know, I basically reversed. I became nocturnal for that period of time in my life. All right, let's take a look at this. Let's highlight all the data. And I know you guys have seen this before, but we're going to talk about it in terms of an OLAP cube. I'm going to say insert, and I'm going to insert a pivot table. And I'm going to click OK. Let's say I want, for dimensions, I want to see this by product. So I'm going to put product. I'm going to drag this product down here into the rows area and drop it. And I have ABC widgets, Miko widgets, and XYZ widgets. Okay, you guys with me? I also want to see how they're paying for this, so I'm going to take payment method and drag it over into the column. So right now I have a two-dimensional cube, right? My two dimensions are payment method and product. And let's see, I want to see how much they spent. So that's the measure, if you will, right? So I'm going to take items amount and drag it into the values area. And it's telling me account. Let's change that to value field settings. Let's change it to a sum so we see the total amount. And while I'm at that, let's go to value field settings again. Let's make that number format. Let's make that currency so it looks like money. I'll say no decimal places. Okay. So it looks like, you know, our total sales was $8,396. Of that, how much was in cash in Miko widgets? How much was paid for by cash for Miko widgets? $2,580. Very good. So right now I have two dimensions. Let's say I want a third dimension, hence the cube, right? 3 dimensions in a cube. I can take this in store, which is, I think it's yes or no, and let's drag that to filters. Okay, so the filter area down there. And it hasn't changed anything, but now it's giving me a drop down where I can say, let's just see I'm going to say select multiple items. I just want to see the in-store one, so I'm going to select yes. And I click OK. And now, see what I'm doing? I'm interacting with this damn thing, right? So now that's where the online thing comes. Now, I want to say, all right, well, let me see the nose. So I'm going to go and select on the nose and click OK, and now it shows me the nose. The $2,700 were not in store. And even if I'm say, well, that's a pain in the butt for me to keep going, you know, and deal with that filter deal. So let's change it to all. And let's change that in store and from the filters area, and let's drag it down below product and drop it. Okay, so now I can see it visually without doing the drop down. I can say, okay, ABC widget, we sold $816 in cash, and of that, 120 was not on in store and 650 was in store. Okay, so now I can look at this via, you know, and I can do what's called pivot, right? I can pivot this stuff. I can change it as I want. I could say, I'd rather see this over here, and I could drag it over here. I don't want to do that right now. But the last thing that I want to show you with this is drill down. Drill down is saying, all right, maybe I'm really concerned with only the Miko widgets, right? That's all I'm concerned about. And really, maybe I'm only concerned with the Miko widgets that were sold in store for cash, right? Maybe I had maybe it was something sexy like I had a legal transaction, right? And the police are asking me to investigate. So I want to look at a Miko widget that was sold in store for cash. Well, I know it was $1,464, but I want to see exactly what those transactions were and who the hell did them. What's a nice thing is I can drill down. So let's double click on that $1,464. These are all the Miko widgets that were sold in store for cash. And I could turn this over to the investigating officer and I say, I hope you find your woman or your man, right? So I've drilled down. And if I wanted to do further analysis on this worksheet, I could do a pivot table of this. You know, I could have multiple layers to this. Think about it. If I'm running a big retail business, you know, I may have an OLAP cube that starts with what? Maybe for every store, or maybe every region, maybe we have product categories. and then we drill down to each of the specific stores a new tab, right? It all filters into one. And that's what these things look like. You know, if you use an industry, I guarantee you, if you work in business, you're going to work in Excel. Okay? And you're going to work with this kind of information all the time. And being able to navigate it, be able to understand it, be able to get results from it, you know, to be able to make decisions, better decisions. That's how you win in the world of business. That's how you get an advantage. You make a better decision than your competitor based on the information that you have. And sometimes, you know, we have information they don't have. That's great. We can see where they're blind, right? That's what this is all about. The end. See you guys Wednesday. Because I couldn't top that line. You can see where they're blind. I got to end there, right? I'm out.